all right. Something completely different. So most of you are watching this, my millions of people that have been watching this, normally a fitness guy, or I have the catering, the food network. But anyway, legal disclaimer. I don't have any fancy degrees in financing, economics, anything like that. So, not a lawyer, anything like that. So just take this as big brother advice, dad advice, or whatever. Research it. Feel free to ask me, ask your parents, grandparents, as long as they're pretty well over like 40s, low 40s, and up, they probably will agree with me on this. So this has nothing to do with, because this is in June of 2020, has nothing to do with the corona. This is going to go back way before this. So if you're graduating high school, graduating college, well, I mean, again, you have the corona on top of this, but you're realizing there's no jobs out there. And if they do, they don't pay anything. So this has been happening for over 100 years. But let me explain something first. We need to bring jobs back to America, and you need to somehow demand, Amazon's here. Oops! Somehow demand all that. That was actually spooky timing. And then also demand, somehow get higher wages. So let's start first about bringing jobs back to America. I mean, now there's the whole premise of the video, but you need to please watch it. It has nothing to do with, so I don't make any money off these videos, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why this is so, and you're going to understand it better, that you're not going to read in a textbook or whatever you mean. It's going to be hard to find on the internet. This is coming from real people that live this. So let's just go back to after World War II, 1950s, 1960s. I'm a Yankee from Pennsylvania. So all of a sudden you had a lot of jobs, factories, moving from up north to down south. Labor was cheaper. So it's not really a bad thing necessarily, at least you're keeping it in America. But, I'll get to this in a minute. 70s and definitely during the 80s, which I grew up, I was born in 1975, jobs went Mexico and or started going even further overseas. Now, then the 90s came. 1996 is 1998. There was a lot of, you just felt, it's like eerie feeling that the whole United States just died. And silently, millions and millions and millions of jobs were just headed overseas. Your customer service jobs, even more factories, were all headed overseas. And I know some of you are saying, oh, it's no big deal. I have a 4-year, 6-year, 8-year master's, bachelor's. Oh, I don't need that. But the reality is, 60, probably 80% of Americans need these normal cashier jobs, these factory jobs, all that stuff to survive. So here's the problem with this, and this is something they never ever talk about. There is a trickle-down effect. So I grew up in a small town. The factory leaves. Okay? You have just 100 people out of work. Most of you are like, that, no big deal. But when you only have a population of a few thousand, it's a lot. It's pretty like the whole town. So here's the trickle-down effect. So now your dad leaves the factory, doesn't go to the bar. So good and bad, for the most part now. But now that bar is suffering. You're not using the car as much. Okay, I know people say, oh, well, you're not, like we're realizing now the emissions and not using gas, but you're hurting that local owner of the gas station. Your car might not be breaking down as much. Good and bad, but leads to more parts. You're not eating as much as the grocery store. You're not going out to eat as much. You're not buying as new clothes. Ain't this an awesome shirt? Look. And trying to say to this is a huge trickle-down effect. So let's just use the grocery store. So you're not going on the grocery store ordering as much. You know, oh, we don't need that extra tomato, those extra bananas, or that extra meat or junk food, okay? There's a huge chain that comes to that. The truck drivers, the farmers. And again, so those 100 people, I'm trying to keep this video short, these 100 people that just lost that job affects thousands and thousands and thousands of other people. Now with this happening all across the United States, you can see how easily millions and millions of people are getting out of work. So, now I understand if you bring jobs back to America, it's going to be different, because this is what happened, well, really been happening since the 1800s. Machinery, robots are taking over. Again, I relate to what I grew up with. You got the 1990s, and same thing. We're just going to use the same thing. It was a buddy was working at a factory. About 100 jobs were going to be lost, because they were replacing them with machinery. Robots were going to start doing their job. So the owner was cool enough to go, hey dudes, I've got to be PC. I think there was, I'm sure there were some women there. So anyway, you got two options. You're either go home, collect unemployment for a little bit, or I'll give you the opportunity to learn how to use the machinery. Now, the only upside to this was with the machines is they break more things to break down, so more mechanics would be hired and all that. So there is a little bit upside. So, but now you had 100 jobs, over 100 jobs got lost. Oh, almost 100 jobs lost, but then you created 12 new jobs. You really didn't create new jobs. Okay? So at least they saved their jobs. But again, replacing. And that's what's been happening forever and ever and ever. More robots. Let's use fast food. There's really almost no need for humans in fast foods now. So they got a robot to make the hamburgers, the burger, fries and everything, collect the money, you just pay with credit card, pay up front. There's really almost no use for a human in something like a fast food. And I go, most are thinking, oh, no big deal. But that's a huge thing. Fast food is kind of like the backbone of America. So, somehow, we all need to stick together, because I have two little ones. They probably hear the TV in the background, because I forgot to tell them to shut it off, but no big deal. I got to be 7 this week, and I got a 2.5-year-old napping in the back. As some of you might know, I'm a stay-at-home dad. So she's on the camera, I'm watching her. So this affects my future too. So we all need to somehow stick together and bring jobs back to America. Okay? We all have to do it, because again, you're realizing there's no jobs out there. So point number, well, it was actually number 3, but we're going to do number 2. I won't curse here. You don't get paid anything nowadays. And yeah, I know, I understand there's a new generation out there that lives with mommy and daddy and all that stuff, and you think you're rich, you make $1,000 if we would turn into a socialist society, or where a lot of you don't have the ambition to be millionaires, whatever. Or you just think you're going to become an Instagram models, or be an influencer like I'm trying to be, and all that. Yeah, sure. Super, super hard. So let's go back to 1990. Fast food was paying almost $10 an hour. Oh yeah, $10 an hour. Which was crap, because I was getting paid. My dad forced me to go mow lawns for the summer when I was 16. So, and I was making $15 an hour. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. I was making $15 an hour cash to mow lawns in Pennsylvania for the summer. And the owner was still making a good amount of money. Okay? So fast food, I'm sorry, to be exact, it was $9.82. Don't know how they came up with that number. McDonald's across the street was paying, I'll never forget, I think it was like $9.88. But I didn't want to go work at McDonald's because it was too busy. So I picked Arby's, because we had this thing of who could get fired the quickest. And I actually stuck around Arby's for a little bit, because it was a joke job, because nobody ever came in. And this is in the city too. So, this is 1990. I remember my dad got a brand new Mustang, and they were like $13,000. And someone went up to like $18,000 because it was limited edition color, whatever. But now, what's a V8 Mustang cost? 40, 50, 60. So, I mean, I think we can realize that everything's way more, for the most part, everything's way more expensive. But again, you're only making $10. You're lucky to even make $10 an hour now. And rent and mortgage, everything is astronomical. So these corporations can easily pay minimum wage of $18 to $20 an hour. Not necessarily the small businesses, because, which we're going to get into with that huge company, or everything is run on super small profit margins. I own several businesses, and that's the new motto is you almost got to be like a drug dealer, in the sense that you got to sell like millions and millions of products till you make any money. Where back in the day, you had huge profit margins. So somehow we have to get corporate America to pay everybody more money, and they can easily do it, because all I have to do is research and see how much the CEOs, the management, everyone gets, and it's astronomical. No one needs to be getting bonuses of $50 to $100 million, or $10 million, or even $1 million. That's my 2 cents. So somehow we need to bring jobs back to America and get higher pay. Now, I grew up with the internet, which most of you watching this again weren't even born then. So it's hard to fathom life without the internet, but it really wasn't that bad. It was kind of awesome. It really was, for many different reasons. But we're focusing on business now. So the internet came about, and at that time I was primarily in the nutritional supplement world. So it was great for me, because owning a storefront still to this day, or back then it was always stupid to have a storefront for nutritional supplements. It was just always mail order. You know, and then of course it was the internet. And everything was fine for the most part. Again, we're just going to stick with nutritional supplements, because it's where I've made my fortune. And then all of a sudden this big company comes along. And I know you're thinking at home, well, I can just ship all my product to them and sell it. It's not that easy. But I knew a few dozen people, probably over 100 people, that all had little warehouses with employees, or were all working out of their house selling supplements, whether it be their own, because I private label, still do, shameless plug, or selling others, mainly selling other people's. But then that big company came along, and the big companies just started selling to them. Now I know people that were lost tens of millions of dollars, the big outfits. Not that big of a deal, but it cost 10, 20, 30 employees. Now, you had little guys like me, I might only had a few employees. But again, remember, let's go back to that trickle-down effect. I lay off 3 or 5 employees, that's a lot. And then there's no really jobs for them. So, you know, you might want to think, again, I know I'm saying, don't worry, the video's getting wrapped up, but you might want to sell to this company and really rethink for doing it, because you got to read all of that fine print. Really, if you want to start like an internet business, try to definitely start your own website, take control of the product, have the inventory in, because this is something else I was going to mention, just to help you out. You know, I think there's that, you know, you can buy stuff and have it drop shipped directly to them. And I know a friend just did this, so that's why I bring it up. Oh, but he's like, dude, I can get these, I can get a few thousand products for like $3. Sell them on this site, man, for 20 bucks. Don't do it. Did it. It's only a few grand that he didn't have. Put it on a credit card. Send it to him, stuff never sold. And I know all you hear is the success stories. And hey, he might have sold them all, the few thousand, the 3,000 items that he bought, and made, what was it, 17, it was like $17 profit per one, which is actually less because, you know, they take out their chunk or whatever. But anyway, he didn't sell them. So, again, I know that one's kind of all over the place, but before you sell to this big box company, as I call it, this ginormous corporation, rethink it. Again, go back to owning your own business. So, I hope that has helped. Tried to keep it as short as possible, but I could have talked about this for hours. So, take away from this, and feel free to comment, reach out to me or whatever. I'll try to help you as much as can. We all need to stick together and bring jobs back to America somehow. Somehow we need to get higher wages. Oh, which I forgot the most important part. The other problem is say you go for a job and there are so many people unemployed that they really don't care. They could pay you $1 an hour because there's so many people to replace you, even if you're in a small town, which that was another thing I was going to tell you about, because a friend lives in Louisiana and he lost his business and he went to the local Walmart distribution, and there's like thousands of people that want to work there because it's the only thing around. So again, hopefully this has helped, and now my cat is here to probably meow at it. So I hope that it's helped, and there he meowed, so thanks.